So, you replaced me with this thing.
But there's only supposed to be
Diablo for PC.
Well, now this
Diablo for PlayStation.
Diablo, that game with all the fire and pentagrams and stuff. It's basically Slayer the game. This dungeon crawler took PC gaming by storm in 1996 and changed the face of the genre forever. But not everyone had a PC back in the day, and in 1998, Diablo was released for Macintosh. But we're not talking about that one, we're talking about the oft-ignored PlayStation port of the game. That's right, Diablo on PlayStation. Surely that sucked, right? Well no, it was actually pretty good, surprisingly. It's a 100% valid way of playing the game, and it's a pretty good take on the dungeon crawling experience. It was an absolute memory card hog though, taking up almost an entire memory card, and the load times were a bit sketch, but Diablo on PS1 was pretty good. Despite this, the port has practically been forgotten. But I maintain that this is still a fun version of the title. Diablo was originally developed by Blizzard North for the PC in 1996. Conceived of by David Brevik while working on Justice League Task Force. This game was developed by Sunsoft, but they had help from two other studios as well. Silicon and Synapse, later Blizzard Entertainment, helped with the SNES version, and Condor Games, later Blizzard North, helped with the Genesis version. God, 3 studios working on one game. No wonder it turned out the way it did. And 2 of those studios would go on to fly the Blizzard banner. Odd times. Brevik wanted to create a computer game heavily inspired by both classic genre-defining title Rogue and NHL 94. This script is already going off the deep end over here. He argued that the randomized dungeon crawling of Rogue and the quick action of NHL 94 would make for a great action-adventure game. He wanted to create a deep game that was quick to get into. And yeah, other than naming your character and choosing your class, there's not a lot to getting started. Contrast this with modern games where you get to choose your character's hair color, eye color, hairstyle, shoe size, date of birth, country of birth, favorite pizza toppings, shape of brow, how many dimples they have, blood type, drug dependencies, favorite color, mother's maiden name, account number, security code on the back of the card. While shopping around the idea that would eventually become Diablo, Brevik was met with pushback from potential publishers who told him RPGs are dead. This was before the release of Final Fantasy VII and the meteoric rise of the genre in its wake, so the idea that RPGs are dead is not really that far off. The genre was a niche genre that even the nerdiest of nerds wouldn't touch, but the man discovered an interested publisher in the company he worked for, Blizzard. The folks who worked for Blizzard were at the time all incredibly into hardcore computer RPGs, and after releasing Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, yes, the first Warcraft game, they got to work on Diablo. Fast forward to 1998, 2 years after the release of Diablo and its incredible success. Blizzard was hard at work on its next big title, StarCraft, an RTS with gameplay elements that mirror Warcraft but with a space theme. Warcraft, Diablo, and StarCraft all back to back. It's no wonder how Blizzard used to be one of the big dogs in the computer gaming space. While working on StarCraft, a port of Diablo was being readied by Climax Studios. No, not that Climax, this Climax, for the PlayStation. Now, while Diablo for PC was released before Final Fantasy VII changed the face of RPGs, Diablo for PlayStation was released afterwards. And I think this port is partially due to the success. Like I've said 1,000 times, the PS1 was the golden age of console RPGs. And Diablo was an incredible and successful computer RPG. So why not marry the two? It was bound to be a success, putting an established and popular game on an established and popular gaming system that was home to an established and popular game. Establish and popular, establish and popular, establish and popular. The story of Diablo is both parts intricate and at the same time minimalist. On the one hand, you have this epic and sprawling story detailing the mortal world of man existing between the domineering and dominating heaven and the wicked and callous hell. A tale of malevolence and enslavement. A yarn that sees humankind trapped between warring supernatural entities. An Edda detailing absolute authoritarianism and total destruction. And on the other hand, go kill devil. The game starts with your character, a warrior, rogue, or sorcerer, visiting the town of Tristram. You are here to investigate the church and destroy the demons dwelling beneath. As you descend the floors of the church, you eventually end up in an underground cave system. And after descending even further, you eventually reach hell. It's here, in the depths, that you discover Archbishop Lazarus and his wicked plot. He has abducted Prince Aiden, the son of King Leoric, and has sacrificed him to become the next incarnation of Diablo by lodging a soul stone right into his forehead. Ouch. You eventually defeat the evil Archbishop and slay the Lord of Terror Diablo himself. After taking the soul stone and stabbing it directly in your own face with it, you become a walking, talking jail for Diablo, who is never to be seen again. At least until the sequel. There are many townsfolk who will help you in your quest to defeat the demons. One of the most important and one of the faces of Diablo is the Elder Deckard Cain, a mysterious old man who eventually reveals himself as being part of a line dedicated to keeping Diablo locked away. He also identifies magical items for you, so you'll be talking to him a lot. You also get to interact with Griswold the blacksmith, who will sell you weapons and armor, Adria the witch, who sells you scrolls and magic potions, Wirt the peg-legged boy, who will sell you randomly generated items, and a few other people. Tristram is a very cozy little village that acts like your safe haven / hub for your non-battle needs. Plus that music, wowza. Talking to the townsfolk after clearing out a floor of the dungeon is a good way to find potential quests. Doing quests will usually unlock new gear for you, so it's a good idea to talk to everybody. And everyone is pretty interesting to talk to. There's a lot of story there for you if you really want to find it, but you can easily skip it all and get right to the action if you want. The gameplay of Diablo for PC boils down to click on a thing to do a thing. Click on the terrain to walk there, click on a monster to smack it, click on an item to pick it up, click on a dude to talk to them. You click a lot in the Diablo games. Now, obviously you can't really click on a thing with a PS1 controller, so the solution was to basically remap the game as a pretty straightforward action-adventure game. You can now press X to attack, press triangle to cast a spell, press square to pick up an item / talk to someone / interact with the environment. David Brevik has stated that The Legend of Zelda was an influence for Diablo, and this PS1 port is an absolute confirmation of that statement because this is a glorious hack and slash adventure. At first you might think that losing the fidelity of pointing and clicking would render the game unplayable, but Diablo for PS1 sticks the landing. The transition from point and click to PS1 controller works, and it works well. Walking around with the D-pad, attacking with X, casting spells with triangle, your belt mapped to the shoulder buttons, it all really works quite well. If there was no PC version of Diablo and it was just a PS1 game, you could easily say that this game is a forgotten classic. Elements of the gameplay are practically untouched, with the dungeon, quests, equipment, etc. all being randomly generated. The catacombs under Tristram's church is an absolute joy to navigate. You'll find each floor getting a little bit tougher, with stronger enemies on each. The difficulty will ramp up further after you transcend the church to the catacombs, then the caves, then hell itself. I found even hell on normal difficulty with a maxed out level 50 rogue being a pretty difficult trek. The challenge is definitely still there. You'll find yourself trying to get the best equipment you can constantly. This was the dawn of lootless, and this game still has that "I'll just play for 5 more minutes" appeal that it had all those years ago. And this gear has prerequisites to equip. Some might need a minimum strength level, some might need a minimum dexterity level, so you can't just drop plate mail on a sorcerer right away and tank dudes while casting Firebolt. So you'll want to manage the stat points you get on level up as best as you can. When you level up, you gain 5 stat points to put into your 4 primary stats: Strength, Magic, Dexterity, and Vitality. Strength determines your physical attack and dictates what type of armor you can equip. Dexterity increases your chance to hit the enemy, your armor class, and the chance to block with a shield. Vitality increases how many HP you have, and Magic increases your MP and how much damage your spells do. On top of this, magical and unique gear may have its own required stats to equip. The God Slayer of hit points might be a sword, but it might have a minimum dex and magic to equip. You can learn spells through reading tomes, and you can level up these spells by reading multiple of the same type of tome. You can also get scrolls that do a one-time cast of spells. The spells that you can learn and the maximum level of these spells is all based on your magic stat. I never really got to play around with the magic too much in this game because I just always choose the rogue. The dungeon is full of loot that comes in many forms. Destructible barrels, sarcophagi, various sized treasure chests, etc. can drop anything from magical potions to scrolls to magical gear. You can also find gold that can be spent on amenities in town like equipment, potions, tomes. There is just loads that you can find in this game. Killing monsters can earn you experience and dropped items though, so I usually will pass up on some of the more mundane treasure holding devices and just focus on killing monsters. After you finish the game on normal, you unlock Nightmare, and after you finish Nightmare, you unlock Hell. These tougher difficulties unlock tougher enemies, but also better loot. Diablo was a game that gave you so much content, it's almost unbelievable. So yeah, as you can see, not a lot has really changed between the two games. I will expand on a few downsides though if you want to play the PS1 version. Firstly, the load times. The load times can suck pretty badly. This was an early CD-based game, so loading was already a thing that could cause problems, but Diablo's loading is just on a whole other level. Accidentally walking up or down stairs and triggering a loading screen only to need to turn around and trigger another loading screen just sucked so bad. And yeah, Diablo took up almost an entire memory card. When you only had 15 blocks and the game takes up 10 of those, you ran out super fast. Also, if you want to do multiplayer, you gotta do it with couch co-op. No online means no online play, but couch co-op is fun, and there is an easy money glitch that you can do with 2 players, so it's not that bad. The legacy of Diablo PS1 is, well, it doesn't exist. This is a port, and ports don't usually live on. Diablo itself has gone on to be an incredibly successful gaming series, with most games in the series not called Diablo Immortal being fondly appreciated and still played today. Hell, some people are still playing the original Diablo 2 today even after the resurrected remaster. Diablo 4 is right around the corner, and I'm stoked. Maybe a little bit concerned with the idea of seasonal battle passes, premium seasonal battle passes, and accelerated seasonal battle passes, but it can't be worse than Immortal, right? Right? Also, don't look at the price for a loose disc version of this game. Modern retro game prices suck. So yeah, Diablo for PlayStation, a totally valid and fun experience. Don't let the internet tell you otherwise. The game is made even better by using retro achievements. You might see these pop up on my videos for retro games. I feel it adds a whole new level of entertainment to these old games. While the original PC version of Diablo is still the best way to play the game, the PS1 version is still a legit and great time if you like hack and slash RPGs. Hey, Diablo, what a game. I had a lot of fun going back and playing through this for the first time since 1998. Great times. What are your thoughts on the port? Did you ever play it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you ever find the secret cow level? Leave a comment down below. Also, please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, check our Ko-fi, hydrate, tell your family that you love them, wash behind your ears, and update your passwords. This all greatly helps a small channel like ours. That's all from me for now. For RPG Fortress, I'm Richard. I'll see you next time, and don't forget to hug a cat. Goodbye.